Chris Mackowski for Emerging Civil War. I am with Wayne Motts of the National Civil War Museum in Harrisburg. One of my favorite people because this guy makes coffee look tame.
Thanks, Chris. I appreciate that. They've got me on rations up at work, just like the Civil War. It's like a Civil War soldier. Wayne, you make sure you're on decaf or something, I appreciate that.
Just a high energy, super fantastic guy. And you have what I think is one of the great gems, treasure troves of Civil War stuff up there in Harrisburg. You want to tell us a little bit about the museum?
Yes, so the National Civil War Museum is located in the capital of Pennsylvania, which is Harrisburg, about 40 miles north of the Gettysburg battlefield. And it's 65,000 square feet. It's one of the largest museums in the whole country dedicated to telling the complete story of the Civil War. And what's really nice about it was started in the year 2001, so it's been open for 18 years, Chris, is that it's got a very wide collection. So the collection up there is significant, and it has materials from all aspects of the American Civil War, and that's both archival materials as well as three-dimensional objects.
And some people say, like, well, Harrisburg, what's the Civil War connection there? But Harrisburg was really important during the war.
It sure was, and I don't think a lot of people realize the importance of the capital of Pennsylvania during the Civil War. First of all, there were many railroads that converged at Harrisburg. It was a major railhead at the time of the American Civil War, and if you want to make a good up in New England and move it to Civil War armies that are serving in the South, you've got to go through Harrisburg, or if you're moving troops from the West, coming from Columbus, Ohio, Indianapolis, Indiana, Illinois, you're going to have to go through Harrisburg. The largest training camp of Union soldiers in the American Civil War, bar none, was Camp Curtin, named after Andrew Curtin, the governor of Pennsylvania, and it trained 300,000 men in the Civil War. No camp in the North, and probably in the South, trained as many people.
And of course, politically, Pennsylvania was vital for Abraham Lincoln.
Well, we call it the Keystone State, and it's a Keystone State. I guess they refer to Revolution, but if you look at the American Civil War, it is a Keystone State, and it's vital for Abraham Lincoln. So we think about 2 million Union soldiers fought in the American Civil War. That's a rough number, and 1 million of them were from Pennsylvania and New York.
Wow.
So you got about 50% of the total pool of men fighting are basically from 2 states.
So if I'm a tourist and I'm coming to the museum, first of all, tell me how to get there and what to look for, and what should my experience be?
Well, the first thing you ought to do is go to the National Civil War Museum's webpage, look at all the materials on there, all the fees, all our hours, everything is listed on there, Chris. Go to the National Civil War Museum's Facebook page, press like, follow us on that, and you can see. So to get there, you can follow basically the turnpike if you want to get there, 15 if you're coming up from the south, I-81 if you're coming in from the north, and you can use your GPS to navigate there. Of course, we have directions that are all listed there. And your experience will be a self-guided tour that will go through the museum galleries, all of them. And every 6 months, we have a new changing exhibit at the Civil War Museum. So even if you've been there before, you can come back and see us because we're going to have something new.
And what I really love about the museum is, as I said earlier, it's a great collection of stuff that tells the war in a very physical sort of way, because there's just all these great artifacts. Do you have any particular favorite artifacts of your own?
Oh, I have a lot. I mean, one of the things that I really like is we have artifacts that tell a story. That's what we really like to do. So one of my favorites there is Robert E. Lee's Bible, a Bible that was captured in the retreat from Petersburg. It was the one he carried during the American Civil War, and talks a lot about Lee, and of course we know his religious background and how he felt about that. So that's one of my favorites. And I know it sounds strange, but blood-stained artifacts may be the word used. Artifacts that were in the Civil War. So we have a tactical manual carried by a young officer who was killed here in the wheat field, and it was in his pocket the day he was shot and killed at Gettysburg. It's stained in his blood. So when you have artifacts like that, Chris, you don't have to tell a 10-year-old kid this was in the Civil War. They know it was in the Civil War. And these are things you can't Google. It's really hard to get that type of experience unless you see actual objects. So we're teaching the American Civil War using material culture.
And the first time I met Wayne, we were down at the Slaughter Pen Farm for the 155th anniversary of Fredericksburg, and he pulls out a uniform jacket worn by a soldier who had been on the field. And every time I've ever met Wayne since then, it's like he just happens to have these random artifacts in his pocket. It's like, oh, look, I've got this fez today, or oh, look, here's Chamberlain's commission, which is a testament not only to the collection itself, but your willingness to be out front with that collection and really use it in tangible, meaningful ways, which I think is just so incredible. incredible.
Well, we appreciate that, Chris. And of course, our duty at the National Civil War Museum basically is to do things. We're mission driven. So the duty is to educate everyone about the American Civil War, its causes, its consequences, its ramifications, what happened during the war. And also our duty is to preserve these collections. So we want to take care of these things, but we also want to make sure that in take caring of them, we don't lock them down so nobody sees them. We want them to be out. So we're going to balance this preservation, as I think any museum would do, with the interpretation and showing it and have people learn from it.
Now I want to shift gears just slightly to talk about Wayne Motts, the historian. You're a Gettysburg guide. You've got a fantastic book that people can bring out into the field here with them. You want to talk about that for just a second?
Yeah, so I've been a licensed battlefield guide here at Gettysburg National Military Park 31 years. This is my 31st year. And in 2015, we came out with a book, Pickett's Charge, the most famous attack in American history. And I co-authored that along with James Hessler, one of the battlefield guides here. And it's the first tour guide ever put together of Pickett's Charge for July 3rd. And we're really proud of that, Chris, because once again, it tells stories. And it's Union and Confederate. It talks not only about the Confederate attack, but it talks about the Union defense. So, being a licensed guide, I've always told stories. And I think it's important to put the Civil War in context of people like you and I. That's how you get people to connect to it, to learn to it.
I agree. It makes it real, it makes it tangible, it makes it relevant.
Right.
Yeah, so Wayne is just a fantastic historian. I urge you to pick up that Pickett's Charge book, first class stuff, and visit the National Civil War Museum in Harrisburg. It is a gem. It's the best way I can describe it. It's absolute treasure to have. Wayne, thanks so much for taking a second to talk.
Chris, I want to thank you. Thank Emerging Civil War too. We really appreciate it. We hope people come up and see us at the National Civil War Museum in Harrisburg.
It'd be great to be there. Chris Mackowski, Wayne Motts for Emerging Civil War. Thank you.